All right, Steve, you are now in line with Kristina. Go ahead.
All right, Kristina Williams, it's Steve Jewin from MMA Mania, and it's good to talk to you again. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. Unfortunately, your last fight didn't go your way. I had it even going into the third round with Valerie Letourneau, but I thought she used takedowns to ice the round, and it was not maybe the exciting finish any of us had hoped for. In hindsight, what do you think looking back on that fight?
I think that the fight went pretty well, but she fought the smarter fight, and she knew that when I came in heavy that she was going to take me down. So, and she kind of just held me there on the ground. So, definitely kind of disappointed, but, I learned a lot from that fight, and that's going to come back way stronger.
I agree with you when you say that she knew you'd come in heavy, because especially in that second round, I wrote in my report that whenever she tried to close the range, you'd smack her in the face with an elbow.
Yeah.
So obviously she didn't want any part of that in the third round. But what can you do in the future to prevent that from an opponent like Bruna Ellen? Because she likes to do the same thing. She loves taking people down.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something I've been working on. I feel like I've really come a long way as a mixed martial artist, because before I focused mainly on just striking. So I was starting to get it dialed in before the Valerie fight, but I really didn't have as much work as, and it's just repetition on repetition of defending takedowns and control on the bottom. So that's what I've been focusing on, and I feel like I'm just far better than I have been in my previous fights.
Was there any factor with how much success you'd had as a striker before you started this Bellator journey, and the fact that you had won your first two fights with striking, that you've always worked on being a well-rounded martial artist, but it wasn't until Letourneau say that you maybe needed that extra push?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I was just seeing, where I needed to improve and like how far I was getting. So it just kind of made me think of what exactly I needed to focus on. So yeah, definitely.
How do you rate Bruna Ellen as an opponent? What do you like about her the most coming into this fight?
I think she likes to do ground, but she also is a striker. So I think that it's going to be a fun fight. I know she's going to try to take me down, so I'm ready for that. But if she wants to strike, then like in all of my fights, my favorite thing.
To me, when I watch Bruna Ellen's fights, it seems like she's not a person who goes for a finish. She's a person who uses her striking strategically. Like, she's not a knockout artist. She's not looking to rough people up. But go ahead. Yeah,
for sure. She kind of draws you in. She's someone who likes to draw you in with her strikes, and then she'll go for her takedown. So she definitely uses her striking strategically.
Your counter to that is, again, working on your takedown defense. So who's been helping you with that the most in camp for this fight?
Well, my gym at American Elite, I have a new training partner, Sarah Alpar. So she's a wrestler. She's fighting for the Legacy 135 title on the same night as me, actually. My coach, Derek Adkins. And then I've been going down to Dallas some with Douglas Fry and working with like Montana and Jen and other people like that, but mainly been up in American Elite this camp.
When you were traveling down to Dallas, or actually when you're out in general, have people been more aware of you now since you've had a few fights in Bellator? Do you feel like people are noticing you more now when you're out and about?
Definitely, like when I'm at, fights and stuff. Sometimes I'll run into a person who recognizes me like around town, but yeah, just like the general MMA public does notice a lot more, yeah.
And do you mind the attention, I guess, is the more important question.
I don't mind, but it's just never like, I'm very introverted, so it's kind of like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, it's cool.
That's kind of the way I've described you in articles and interviews when I've written you up before. It's like she's shy and quiet and reserved, and then all of a sudden when she gets inside the cage, boom.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to people who don't know you? How do you flip that switch?
When I get in the cage?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of just like it's me and them, and I don't have to worry about anything. It's just pro release, and I can control the moment and let everything go in there.
So it's like a form of tunnel vision then, in a sense. Like, all you see is your opponent and the rest of the world just goes dark.
Yeah, I don't, think about, I'll hear the crowd and stuff, but I'm not, because usually if I'm, speaking in front of the crowd, I'll be, super nervous. But when I'm in there, it's more like it pumps you up, and, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm just, driven.
Is that something that you've ever thought about working on? Because obviously you can always work on the athletic part of your mixed martial arts game and your striking and your takedowns and your jiu-jitsu, but do you ever think about the spotlight and what you're going to say after a fight? Is that something you ever practice or work on?
Yeah, I definitely, and especially since I started, I've been working on, speaking more and, interviews, just like this, and I've, on the spot interviews and stuff like that, and that is something that I have been working on just because it's something I struggle with, but yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I always appreciate any fight, but especially when I watch a women's MMA fight, is when the post-fight promo, the fighter who won knows who they want to fight next and immediately has a name in mind. Do you have anybody in mind if you beat Bruna Ellen?
At this point, I really don't have anybody in mind yet. I kind of want to see what Bellator wants to do with me after I win this fight and see where it goes from there. I'm really excited to see what happens with Alima and Valerie too. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Absolutely. It's a really exciting time for the flyweight division with that title fight coming up in Hawaii. Do you have a prediction?
I think that if it stays standing, then Valerie will probably take it. But if Alima gets her down, I'm pretty sure that she will finish it on the ground. So, I'm not sure. It just depends on, Valerie's a very smart fighter. So, it could go either way.
Absolutely. Her level of experience is almost unmatched in this flyweight division, including a lot of the other divisions in Bellator. But like you said, Alima on the ground, she is as deadly as they come.
Yes.
So that's going to be a great fight in Hawaii, and it's going to be a great fight coming up here in Thackerville. So how are you feeling about going to Oklahoma again for this fight?
I feel really good. It's nice to fight at home this time. It's only 2 hours from where I live, so a lot less stress as far as traveling there.
And I imagine that means that you're going to, even though you tune out the crowd as much as possible, you're also going to have a lot of family and friends who make the trip.
Yeah, I definitely will. It's really nice to have them there. Sometimes, it is a little more nerve-wracking when you have everybody who knows you there, but it also builds me up too, so it's kind of even.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the best part is you get the win, you can spend some time with them afterwards, you can go out, have a nice meal, and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kristina, let me ask you this. Looking at the state of the division right now, with Valerie being the number one contender, Alima being the champion, and you being one of the challengers who's right there in the mix, who do you feel stands up there with you as the top 2 or 3 women in the division?
I'd say right now the person who's been sticking out, Veda Ortega, has been doing really well lately. I think she's probably one of the top ones right now.
And she just had a successful fight not too long ago with Emily Ducote, who I consider to be one of the other top names. So that's a fighter you know well.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you like to see matched up in this flyweight division? Who else do you think is out there that needs to have a fight that hasn't gotten that showcase that you've gotten?
I know, Veda Ortega just fought Denise Kilholt, and she was one of the ones that I was, that she's been up and coming lately, but I think she still has a pretty good shot. She just isn't more inexperienced on the ground, but she's one of the ones that I've noticed coming up.
That Denise Keelholtz fight, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually thought she was doing really well in that fight until she shot for the takedown on Vita, and I was like, oh my god, why did she do that? Yeah, it was a great fight. She just got caught there. Yeah, that's one of those things, the same thing with Alima. It's when you're shooting for something, you better watch out, you better protect your neck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kristina, I really appreciate the time as always. And if you would like to promote anything, plug anything, mention any sponsors, shout out social media links, I always like to give you that time. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I like to thank my sponsors, KBT Equine, American Shaman, TKO Combat Sports, Vintage Warrior, and then just thanks to my gym, American Elite, and like my Instagram is Warhorse MMA, and Facebook is Kristina Warhorse Williams.
And Twitter is Warhorse MMA as well, right?
Yes, I forgot that one too.
All right. Well, that's all the social media links, all the sponsors. But the most important thing is going to be the fight here at Bellator 210 WinStar World Casino and Resort, live on DAZN and Paramount. It'll be simulcast, so you won't want to miss a great fight between the Warhorse, Kristina Williams, and her opponent for the evening, the always tough, the always dangerous Bruna Ellen. So it'll be a great fight. And Kristina, thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. And thank you, Dan, as well.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
You bet.